Welcome to Talk About Topeka. I'm Chris Schultz. Today I meet with Topeka City Manager Jim Colson. We'll discuss the tough topics that are on Topeka's mind, such as, well, Beyonce's new hair, the fourth Wolverine film in 10 years, the whereabouts of Jimmy Hoffa, the royal baby, the other royal baby, and the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow. Speaking of Monty Python, for those of you who got that reference, you can get tickets now for Spam-A-Lot, the opening show of Topeka Civic Theater's 2013-14 season. Get your tickets at topekacivictheater.com. This episode is brought to you by the WIBW channels and Driving Miss Daisy, being performed on stage at the Break Room's Gourmet Cabaret Dinner Theater. Get your tickets at breakroomdowntown.com. And it all starts right now. All right, well, welcome to the studio. Welcome to Jim Colson, the Topeka City Manager. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Hey, great. Thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate that. And welcome to Topeka. We haven't been able to give you a formal welcome, so it's the big city. How's it treating you?
The city's treating me well. This is the end of the first year, so you got to work on your snappy responses quicker. So, no, we've enjoyed it. It's been an interesting year. It's been a lot of hard work, but I think it's paying off. Things are going well.
Absolutely. I know when you came here, there were some really interesting pieces that you came from Glendale. And so you'd done a lot of things with economic development, and there was a lot of things that we'd read about it and said, yeah, this guy's pretty good for us here. Tell us a little bit about some of your experiences that have brought you here to be the city manager of Topeka.
Well, I think the number one rule in economic development and city management is nothing's easy. And even the success that we had in Glendale, it's been up, it's been down. There have been some challenges recently. It's coming back again. And I think 10 years down the road, everybody's going to look back and say, well, that was really cool. That was an easy thing. There was nothing easy about it. I don't anticipate that it's going to be easy to achieve those successes here in Topeka either. But we have to continue to have a good plan and to work forward. And I think we'll see a lot of successful economic development here.
Absolutely. That's what we got our fingers crossed for. And everybody's getting their hard work gloves on and making it happen.
That's
good. What's a typical day in the life of Topeka City Manager like?
Generally, I wake up around 5:15, 5:30, do a quick dog walk, and start. Generally, I try to fit in some personal time and do my things, but I'm usually starting to respond to emails by 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, and usually do that till about 8, and then I realize I better make a mad dash and get into the office, and I do. And then once you start the day, you always have a list of 15, 20 things that you just need to get done. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, that list is about 35 or 40, and you might have gotten 5 or 6 or 7 other things done that weren't on the list to start with. So it moves fast. My number one objective when I got here was to build a management team surrounding me that had the same vision, was committed that area. With the addition of Doug Whitaker and Susie Gilbert and Bill Fyander and Chief Miller and Chief Bailey, we're really getting there. We've got a great team in place, and I know I probably left somebody out there, but we've got really good people that understand that customer service is absolutely vital. Good communication. Do you have to be technically right every time?
Yeah.
But you have to have an attitude of understanding that we work for the residents of the city of Topeka. Yep. And unless we communicate, unless we understand that we have to service them, we're not going to be successful. So that's a work style that we are continuing to push through the organization.
Very good, very good. And I know there's people understanding a city manager and council form of government. How does it benefit a city?
Well, I think the number one benefit is that you have a professional manager who is really focused on what's in the best long-term interest of the city. And I want to be clear, there are some very great, strong mayor forms of government out there, and there have been some great, strong mayors. And I think the decision on the part of the city to move to a city manager form of government is consistent with how most communities are going in the country. Certainly, cities of this size, most of them would have a city manager form of government. It allows a consistent, uniform and objective approach to city management.
You know, in the national news, we're seeing a lot of scary municipal situations, and we're seeing police forces cut. We're seeing cities file for bankruptcy. What kind of things are working for Topeka that are going to help us to weather those kinds of storms, so we don't have to deal with things like that?
Well, we're certainly going through a very challenging budget cycle right now, and in 2008, at a time when the economy virtually ended. Here in the U.S. and around the world, many communities went back to the old playbook, and they started using one-time monies, whether it be the slowing down on the purchase of cars and computers, and they started taking money out of their fund reserves and stopped giving raises to people or even putting people on furloughs. That's unsustainable. And the reason that people did it is because when we ran into economic hiccups in the past, you were able to make some one-time fixes, and then by the time that the money had been spent, we were back into a good economy, and we were into recovery, and therefore you were able to go forward and build up those reserves. This is a very stubborn, very sustained economic downturn. And even though we're seeing a lot of positive things around the country, we're still not seeing that job growth and that return to the economy as we knew it in the past. So I think the city of Topeka has needed to take a very close look at how do we contain costs and how do we increase revenues. And that's a challenge that a lot of communities are facing at the same time. Mm-hmm. You make reference to Detroit. Yeah. Stockton, California. These are communities that had serious challenges for a very long time. And I think in many regards, and I can't really speak to Stockton, I can't speak to Detroit. Sure. There was also a lack of political will. And there was an inability to really deal with the reality of the situation. What makes Topeka significantly different from that is you have a very strong mayor and you have a very good council who truly understand that we need to address these issues and we need to address them now. When we started this budget process, we talked about the fact that there is a $6.5 million budget deficit. And there's really only one of two ways to fix it. Mm-hmm. You either have to cut costs or you have to increase revenues. I guess there's a third way, and that's the hybrid, which is the way we went. And we tried to protect public safety, which we did, and we will increase the mill levy to offset. We'll cut costs elsewhere within the organization. Sure. And the mill levy increase will go towards public safety. Absolutely. So we'll see next Tuesday. So we're sitting in a pretty good place for Topeka. I think we're in a good place if we continue on the course. And I wanted to talk about, I'm in Rotary, and as we know, Rotarians are a group of business leaders who have made a pledge that they're going to put their community service above themselves. And so you came and spoke to our group, and one of the things that you said, and it really stuck with me, and I was hoping you could kind of recap that for our viewers, was you were talking about one of the problems that we've got in Topeka with our self-perception and how we're really hard on ourselves about specific things. Can you kind of recap what that was, if you can remember from a few months ago? No, I thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. And I don't think it's only unique to Topeka, but I think it's especially acute in Topeka. I don't think that people who grew up in Topeka really understand what a great place this is. My wife and I moved from Glendale, Arizona. We lived in Austin, Texas, and we moved here and we love it. And we have a lot of friends here. There's a lot of things to do. One of my favorite places to go in Topeka is the Topeka Cemetery. Mm-hmm. I'll go there and go for a run or go for a walk through there and just enjoy that. The Discovery Center, just the natural beauty. I like to ride my motorcycle, and we'll go up K4 and look all over the place. So I think that the Kansas itself is very beautiful. Topeka has so many phenomenal assets, and I don't think that people really understand it. And if I'll hear somebody say something, and I'll question them. I'll say, well, why do you say that that's so bad? And they'll say, well, I heard that from somebody else. I say, well, do you know that to be true? And you got to keep challenging people. Yeah. And say, I live here and I like it. Yeah. And I think the more people who stand up and say, I like it here, I think the better off we're going to be. There's no sense feeling bad about where you live. Yep, absolutely. You got to love home is where the heart is, and it's what you make of it, right? And I'll tell you that being a guy who's moved here a year ago, I found a lot of things here that I really like.
there's some great aspects. I mean, we went to the Kansas Children's Discovery Center. You got NOTO. You've got all of the progress happening. The Helping Hands Humane Society, another one that's, you see all these things in this community where people have really come together to make them work. And, that's people putting those gloves on to get in there and do the hard work. And I think there's something to be said about that Midwest mentality, that they're doing that stuff for their community here. Yeah.
My wife and I went for a drive. We took our dog with us, and we were driving through the Old Town area, and we pulled in and we stopped at Ward Mead and we started walking through the gardens there. Yeah. And she was just in awe of how beautiful this was. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody here mention how beautiful the gardens were there. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many treasures that exist here. We just got to continue to talk about them, point them out, and when somebody makes a negative comment, I think we need to challenge it. You're allowed to believe bad things. Sure. There are bad things.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with it, but the fact is, there's a lot more good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here with Topeka City Manager Jim Colson. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go away. We're going to go jump out of the blimp here and go see what's going on down on Kansas Avenue when we come back. Jim, stick around with us, will you?
Thank you.
All right. So we're back. We're on Kansas Avenue in downtown Topeka here. We're going to take a little walking tour as we go. Jim, thank you so much for joining us again. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the city. Give us a little impromptu state of the city here.
Well, this little building behind us, which is going to be finished in the spring, is a phenomenal thing that we need to talk about, especially with the finishing of the beautiful Capitol, and then the initiation of the downtown project, which I'm sure we'll talk about more. But bringing those two things together, it just really shows that there's a lot of things happening. But the city's doing well. City is financially is addressing the challenges that it has, and the challenges are real, but I think we're addressing those. There's new businesses coming in. There's an energy level that exists throughout the entire community. I think things are going well.
Absolutely. Talking about downtown here, we know that the city has committed to putting in the infrastructure work for Kansas Avenue, and the private sector has just announced that they're almost right at their goal, and their goal is to shoot over what they said they would raise to put in the public amenities for the avenue here. Tell us a little bit about what that's going to do for the city, like specifically.
Well, I think it really becomes a very important part of the overall economic development scheme in the city, in that people want to see a downtown. And while there's not a lot of economic vitality in the evening downtown, there's a tremendous amount of people who are here during the day, and there's some shops, certainly such as yours, that's attracting people down here. And as we continue to build a better aesthetic to attract more businesses, we're going to continue to see the economic vitality in this area. So I think the investment by the public sector and the private sector to address the physical needs of downtown is going to result in new people coming. But it's not going to happen automatically. Yeah. We're going to have to work very hard to attract the type of people who want to be in this type of location.
Well, what will you say to the folks who, there've been so much talk over the years about what to do with downtown, and why is this project something that we all should just get behind and stand with?
Well, I think most importantly because it's going to happen, and a lot of effort's gone into it. And I think the challenge that a lot of people in Topeka have had is they've heard a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of plans, but there's been very few things that happen. That's why I think it's so vitally important that this project occurs. It will allow people to have more confidence in themselves. They'll see the results of a well thought out project, and the economic development successes that occur here will spurn additional activities. But I think we really need to focus on getting this done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I know we've made a commitment, and we've been seeing some real progress with the roads. We've even read that we're coming in under budget with these things, and we're actually doing things properly. What are we looking at here to be able to maintain that stuff so that we don't ever get to the point of having everything completely fall apart that we have to do some major fix for?
It goes all the way back to our first conversation, and that is, as cities have economic challenges, as they go through their planning process, they need to continue to focus on the comprehensive long-term plan. Because we had economic challenges earlier, people withdrew money out of the maintenance budgets. And if you don't maintain the roads, if you don't maintain the infrastructure, you're going to have to pay it sooner or later. And what happens if you continue to put it off and put it off and put it off, you're going to be forced to do it at a time when it's most expensive and when you have no more options. You have to do it or it's just going to fail.
Absolutely. We're seeing wonderful progress with all of that stuff as we've been going through the city. Not, we're in downtown right now, but the entire city is seeing some major growth from that. And it's something we should probably be proud of as Topekans.
It's something that we should definitely be proud of. You have both the countywide half-cent sales tax, you have the city half-cent street tax, and I think those two projects working together, two funding sources working together in conjunction with each other in many regards, have allowed us to address some real needs that exist within the community. But I'll say it again, we're a long way from done. We got to continue to press forward. We got to continue to spend money in the manner that has the best, most comprehensive benefit to the city, and we need to continue to draw new businesses so we can increase the tax base and we can continue to grow like a mature city does.
And this area, the 700 block of Kansas, you see a lot of really great little small businesses here, and a lot of the people that are on our show or watch our show, they're really into small business. So kind of tell us what the city is doing to help those mom and pop businesses and encourage growth in the mom and pop sector.
Well, I don't know that we're doing enough yet. I think we need to continue to take a look at how do we support small businesses and how do we support entrepreneurship. And I know that the city council and others that I talk with, that's one of their primary focus points, is how do we do more. And while it's very exciting, the people that have been successful, they fought through a lot of odds to get here. We need to create that type of environment where it becomes, I don't want to say easier, because it's never easy to start a business, as you very well know,
right.
But that we're able to provide tools that really can make a difference and that we can maybe help somebody get over the fence. They've got a good plan, they've got things in place, but they need a little bit of assistance. We need to become that little bit of assistance provider. But we also have to recognize the value of everybody who's been down here and is doing such a good job. So we need to continue to fine-tune that model.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to add to our viewers here as we're standing here on a beautiful day in downtown Topeka?
Well, this is the end of my first year here at the end of this month, and I've had an opportunity to get to know the community. I have a lot more to get to know. I've just absolutely loved the people. I love the challenge. I think there are so many assets that exist down here, and I'm proud to be the city manager here, and I hope to have several more years of working here.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you. Of course, I can't let you go until we do the notorious lightning round. That's where we put the fun questions on the clock. We get 60 seconds on the clock here to answer these.
What do I win, Pat?
We'll find out. We don't have a clock, so this could be interesting.
We don't even have a Pat.
All right, let's act like there's a clock and go. In your opinion, what was the greatest movie ever made?
The Princess Bride.
Good one. No one's ever said that on here. Let's see. Do you prefer Facebook or Twitter?
I have a Facebook account. I haven't touched it in 3.5 years. And I don't really have familiar with Twitter, so probably Facebook.
You're a busy guy. That's right. Let's see. Where'd you attend high school?
Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
All right. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
I'd like to think that I'd be a Ferrari, but I'd probably be an F-150 pickup truck.
And what was your very first job?
First job, I worked for a pro stock drag racing team, Gap and Roush, which is Jack Roush. I probably should have stuck with him my whole career.
Let's see, if you took a weekend staycation in Topeka, what would you do?
I would probably check into one of the hotels that has the nice pool amenities and just hang out with my wife all weekend. I don't get to spend nearly enough time with her.
Very good, very good. If you could bring a dead celebrity back to life and ask them one question, who would it be and what would you ask?
Now, celebrity as like an actor or a dead famous person?
Any dead famous person or actor or anything.
Probably my favorite would be Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I'd probably ask him where he found the strength. Oh, I know the answer. I know what he'd say, but where he found the strength to stand firm in times of adversity and personal risk.
Very good. And, our time is all up, but what's your favorite television show to watch every Tuesday night at 9:30 on my TV? Talk about Topeka.
Talk About Topeka is my favorite show.
Hey, mine too. Hey, thank you so much, Jim.
All right.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
It was fun. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks again to Jim Colson. This episode was brought to you by the WIBW channels and Driving Miss Daisy, being performed on stage at the Break Room's Gourmet Cabaret Dinner Theater. Get your tickets at breakroomdowntown.com. Join us next week, but we will not tell you why. We might be on a train, we might be on a plane, we might be on the river, we might be getting slizzard. We will not tell you where we'll go, we will not discuss our next show. Keep talking about Topeka.